Hello everyone, this is part 25 of What If Naruto and Hinata trained together and a spark happened, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Good morning. The fifth Hokage was in a remarkably good mood as she surveyed the stadium-style classroom. Tsunade was at the front of the room, as were the 10 proctors of the Jonin trials. The seating area held the elders Homura and Koharu, plus the other 30 members of the Jonin Council, and a handful of other Jonin and Tokubutsu Jonin who had come to watch the proceedings. For those of you who did not know, this is the evaluation meeting for the Jonin trials completed yesterday, she informed the onlookers, in case you responded to the summons without reading it, or just wandered in here. We will be going through each of the participants, and the proctors will let us know if that person passed or failed. After that, we will open the floor to questions and comments before deciding each candidate's fate. Any questions? No one spoke up, so she continued. If there are no objections, the Sannin's tone indicated there had better not be. We will start with our 3 Jonin who are renewing their credentials. First on the list being me. Shizune paled, while Guy started to weep softly. Neji, Choza, and Kakashi all were very careful not to display any reaction. Do any of my proctors object to my retaining my official rank? Tsunade ignored their reactions. They all shook their heads. Good. Then next. Hold on, Koharu interrupted. You seem to be skipping ahead. Not to mention it looks like you coerced these examiners into voting for you. Tsunade's smirk did not fade, but she inclined her head and waved her hand to indicate the elder Kunoiki should continue. Shizune, the 3rd Hokage's female teammate, addressed the 5th Hokage's assistant. You administered Tsunade's genjutsu examination on Tuesday, correct? The younger medic glanced at her teacher, and then nodded. And she met the requirements. Homura picked up the thread. Yes, Shizune said softly, she more than met the standards for the test. She broke 3 genjutsu each for ranks D through A. And she exhibited 3 S rank, 4 A rank, and 6 B rank techniques of her own. This sent some murmurs through the gallery, but Koharu ignored them, and pressed, and can you name them? Shizune shuddered, and then listed the 13 jutsu. And as she did, the other Jonin all noticed a common thread. Almost half of the techniques were for interrogation or breaking morale on a military scale. Understanding filled the elders' faces, and Koharu glared at the medical expert. You tormented her, she demanded. That's a little harsh, Tsunade countered blandly. 6 out of 13 is less than half of the techniques I showed, and some of the others are used for therapy. Heck, I didn't use my worst techniques, nor did I hold them so tightly Shizune could not break free. All in all, I'd say it wasn't much worse than watching a horror film, or 2. Shizune, do you have any complaints? Koharu asked. No, the medic shook her head, still a little green around the gills. I knew going in where Lady Tsunade's genjutsu specialties lie. As she said, she could have done much worse, had she wanted to. Guy, seeing this would lead nowhere, the female elder switched her target. Mike Guy had halted his tears, though he still looked uncomfortable. Yes, ma'am. Guy snapped her attention. Why are you so upset? Koharu demanded. Did something happen yesterday? Yes, he said stiffly. Lady Tsunade completed all 30 stations in my test in just over 2 hours. And that is cause for this sort of display. Well, he tried to hold it in, but couldn't. She wrecked my climbing wall, disabled my singing floor, and fried all of my video cameras. I had to rebuild those 4 events in time for Naruto's test, and that's not counting all of the normal restocking I had to do. Tsunade, Homura asked more civilly than his female teammate, is this true? Yes, the Hokage said proudly, it's not only true, it's completely within the rules Guy set down for the tests. The wall said I had to climb over it without using ropes or climbing claws. So I brought it down and climbed over the rubble. The singing floor didn't say anything about disabling it, which is a surprise, because back when people still used those things, it was a fairly common tactic. I guess Guy assumed no one would be able to do it without their chakra or special equipment, but that's hardly my fault. Then her grin became slightly sheepish, and the cameras were an accident. The accelerant I added to the generator was just supposed to run it out of gas. I never thought it would burn out the cameras. Still, the rules said I couldn't damage the generator, and I didn't. The cameras weren't mentioned. Isn't that right, Guy? The normally loud Jonan nodded in defeat. Koharu looked annoyed, and turned her attention to the remaining 3 proctors of the Hokage's test. I suppose there isn't any point in asking you 3, is there? Neither Choza nor Kakashi took her bait, but Neji smirked, and told her, Lady Tsunde's taijutsu was excellent, as one would expect from one of the legendary Sannin. She might even be a match for Guy-sensei or Lee. Fine, the elder sighed, let's move on then. Good. Tsunede's grin returned to normal, then next on the docket is the list for renewal is Shikaku Nara. So Hanabishi will be staying at Tokubutsu Jonan. The Hokage set aside the folder, and picked up the next. That bring us to Sakura Haruno. Guy, you were her first proctor, correct? Yes, ma'am. The bowl-cut Jonan had recovered from his earlier trauma and was back to his usual self. Sakura did an excellent job, he informed the gallery. She completed 28 of the stations. She ran out of time during the butterfly catch, and flunked out of the computer search test. This set off a round of derisive grunts and eye-rolling, even worse than when Guy had announced Choji Akamaki's inability to use a computer. So what? Someone shouted from the gallery, using ventriloquism to mask his or her idini. This set off a number of agreeing nods, which in turn riled up Shizune and Guy. That was a fully approved test, as important as any of the others, Guy proclaimed. This set off more chuckles. This isn't a joke, the normally calm medic shouted, computers are part of your job now, and they're not going away. We have been losing business to the hidden grass and hidden cloud villages because our shinobi can't keep up with technology. We have had to hire civilian contractors to work on programming and IT jobs in the village so we can send our tech ninjas on espionage missions because you people don't know how to perform a simple file search and retrieval. Not to mention how many of you are behind on your mission reports and team reviews. Come on, Shikaku protested, we still get our reports in on the old schedule. And so what if we can't find files? We can just take the tough drive and have the tech guys do it later. You're making too much of a hassle, Shizune. Even if you knew how to find and remove the computer's hard drive, the younger woman countered scathingly, stealing it would make it pretty obvious to the owner that someone had been there, which negates the stealth factor of most of these missions. Settle down, Shizune, Tsunade ordered sternly, while you have a point, this is hardly the time or place for this argument. The Hokage's assistant returned to her seat, still glaring. However, the next person here to interrupt a proctor's report due to personal feelings of the value of a test will be undergoing that test personally. The Sannin stared the other Jonan down. Do I make myself clear? No one answered, but Homura smiled appreciatively. Good. Tsunade smirked at her subordinates. Guy, did you have anything else to say about Sakura's skills test? No, ma'am, he shook his head vehemently. Then next would be Iruka. Tsunade turned to former teacher. You gave Sakura her genjutsu test on Wednesday. How did it go? Sakura was able to break 4D and C rank genjutsu, as well as 2 of the 3B rank genjutsu, and 1 of 2A rank techniques, he informed the Jonan Council, well above the required skill level. As for her techniques, she had the requisite 5C and 3B level techniques, plus 1 extra A rank for a total of 3. Most of her support and direct maneuvers are medical in nature. Though one of her A-rank techniques is the masking storm, a powerful multiple target distraction art. So then she passed. Tsunade pressed blandly. Yes, she was not the best, but she definitely went beyond the minimum requirements, Yumino agreed. Yamato, how was Sakura's ninjutsu? The medical Sannin turned to look at the next examiner, on the other side of the table. Just beyond sufficient, he answered simply. She exhibited a handful of techniques beyond what was required, and displayed ample mastery of water and air chakra. Anything else? The Hokage asked, mildly amused. Not really. Fine. Neji, how did Sakura do on the taijutsu exam? Tsunade focused on the youngest Jonan present. Sakura's unarmed fighting skills are excellent, the white-eyed teen noted. Beyond the 2C rank, 2B rank, and 3A rank styles, she exhibited S rank in both hard fist and tiger styles. I believe those are the styles you favor, are they not, Lady Tsunade? The Hokage shrugged immodestly, and then asked, do you have anything else you wish to add? Neji shook his head carefully, and the attention of the Jonin Council fell on its largest member. Choza Akamaiki launched into his findings without prompting. Sakura is extremely skilled with both the battle axe and the heavy club, Choji's father explained, both firmly A rank, with her axe skill on the verge of full S rank. For her B rank weapons, she had the Nodaki, the scimitar, and the quarterstaff. And at C rank she displayed the mace, nunchaku, and manriki gasari. Though she only showed 8 weapons, her techniques were all crisp and precise, and she did substitute 1 B rank for a C rank. Well, then, Tsunade addressed the gallery. Sakura exceeded the minimum requirements for all 5 pillars. I propose we award her the rank of Jonin. Any objections? She has quite the temper, the female elder spoke up. If that was a disqualifying offense, neither of us would have been promoted, Tsunade countered, and probably not Anko either. Mitarashi smirked, unable to refute the point. Also she is a skilled medic, and we are short on Jonin with that skill set, Shizune added. Other members of the council nodded, though a few looked nonplussed. Fine, then let's put it to a vote, Tsunade shrugged, all in favor of Sakura Haruno being granted the rank of Jonin. Most of the attendees raised their hands, including all of the proctors, though some only added their assent once it was obvious the motion would carry. Wonderful, the leader of the Leaf Village smiled, I love it when I don't have to break a tie. Then, the next candidate is Hinata Hyuga, Kakashi. Out of the 18 required techniques, Kakashi had already taken out the handwritten report he had prepared for Hinata. He read it carefully. Hinata showed 27 techniques. She displayed 6 C rank, 8 B rank, 9 A rank, and 4 S rank ninjutsu arts. I can list her techniques at the request of the council. He paused briefly after reading the stock line of his form report, but as before no one asked for the full accounting. After a suitable wait, Kakashi concluded his prepared statement. Hinata also displayed mastery of lightning and earth chakra, he concluded, setting the paper aside. Tsunade started to move on, but the copy ninja startled the assembled shinobi by continuing. On a personal note, he announced, I want it on the record that there is one more specific S-rank technique that Hinata knows, but could not have performed in the Jonin trials. Hinata has successfully executed the Zodiac Seal while I was watching. And that was under what could be conservatively called a stressful event. The seal was later confirmed by Master Jiraiya. This sent whispers through the gallery, both because of Hinata's skill, and the probable reason she had been forced to use it. Well, then, Tsunade was mildly stunned by Kakashi's deviation from his normal protocol, but not by what he had to say. Is there anything else, Kakashi? The Hokage asked him. No, I think I have made my point. Then next is Shizune. Tsunade looked at her apprentice. How did Hinata's Genjutsu exam go? Very well, the younger medic answered. She was able to break every Genjutsu I know, including every A rank and both S rank offensive illusions. And though she was somewhat hesitant, she also met the requirements for using Genjutsu. She also executed one extra B rank move, though I don't think she realized it at the time. Still, she did pass the test. Shizune appeared apprehensive as she pointed out Hinata's minor oversight. Some of the other Jonin noted that, but the Hokage pushed ahead, shifted their attention to Anko. She made short work of my test, Anko said, only slightly bitter. That Hyuga girl found all my clones in just under half the allotted time, and then 2 of her copies evaded me for the full 75 minutes. The kid's got some talent, and she's pretty creative to boot, that's it. Yugao. Tsunade prompted simply, growing tired of stating the exam type or asking then his or her opinion when everyone already knew what was expected. Hinata was without a doubt the most skilled unarmed combatant I tested, Azuki said, her voice carefully controlled so they did not think the compliment was due to any personally feelings. She demonstrated 18 different taijutsu styles of level C or higher. In fact, only 4 of those were C rank. She had 2 S rank taijutsu styles, the Gentle Fist and Whipping Willow styles, then the former Anbu agent paused, unable to keep the awe from creeping into her voice, and she also displayed A rank in the Tiger and Heron style. This set off another round of murmurs in the gallery. Are you sure about that? Koharu interjected dubiously. After another of my candidates had already exhibited the style, so I did my research, Kakashi's lover retorted directly. I watched the old videos of the 4th Hokage again, and spoke to both his student and his teacher. There can be no doubt that this is the genuine article. That is certainly something to note. Tsunade acting amazed, despite being fully aware of Hinata and Naruto's special training. Is there anything else you wish to add, Yugao? No, Lady Hokage, there is nothing more I can add at this point. I guess not. Tsunade glared at the throng until they regained their composure again. And that brings us to Choza. Unfortunately, I cannot make things as easy as my 4 counterparts, the stout shinobi informed them. Kakashi raised his eyebrow at the statement, while Tsunade and Neji both looked annoyed. Explain, the Hokage demanded. Hinata was only able to show 8 weapons, he explained, 4 C rank, 2 B rank, 1 A rank, and 1 S rank. I don't see the issue, Kakashi interrupted blandly. The issue, Choza continued sadly, is her choice of A and S level weapons. For starters, her S rank weapon is the light throwing blade set. Again this set the assembled ninjas buzzing. Inoiki Yamanaka frowned unhappily, and pointed out, light throwing blades generally aren't considered above the B rank. True, Yugao agreed deceptively, but that is because so few candidates are able to use them at the S level. The traditional penalty assessed for using throwing blades as one of your jonin weapons is 1 level. Which would mean Hinata could count light throwing blades as one of her A rank weapons, if we don't choose to censure her further. Is she really that good? Yamato asked neutrally. She knows the Uchiha deflection technique, Choza announced. She was able to deflect a kunai 18 times, in a simple yet precise pattern, before getting a bullseye. The remaining rumbles in the seated shinobi died. Instead they turned to looks of amazement. How does she know that move? The elders asked, almost in unison, though the female advisor was suspicious, while the male was simply curious. I taught her, Kakashi answered for Choza, and before you ask, Itachi taught me when we served together in the Anbu. I thought with her speed and her Suijin Byakugan she could master the skill. Turns out I was right. So, assuming we accept Hinata's light throwing blades as an A rank weapon, what is the issue with her other weapon? Tsunade forced the conversation forward. Hinata's primary weapon, her A rank weapon, is her coat, Choza explained. The coat have no standard style or common use as a weapon. And while unique weapons are something that comes up from time to time. He paused, glancing from Anko, to Iruka, and then to Temari. Braces are armor, not weapons, the large warrior concluded, and I don't think anyone here would approve of a helmet as a weapon. Despite that, Hinata has developed a complex, lethal, and definitely A rank style, combining parts of fist and elbow taijutsu, kata techniques and some unique strikes. A point of fact, a thin, reedy voice announced from the back of the room. The Jonin turned to look Toshiro, an elderly Jonin who was the academy's librarian and headmaster. There are 5 scrolls depicting the coat weapon style in the unrestricted section of the library, the octogenarian shinobi lectured, written by 3 different Jonin. Of the 3, one Mu Akamaiki considered forearm guards to be her primary weapon, and held an S rank with the coat. Naruto Uzumaki borrowed the scrolls for the months of December and January. Given his relationship with Miss Hyuga, I would assume her style is based at least in part on those established methods. My great-aunt did. Choza pondered, I did not know that. So it appears there is no reason not to accept Hinata's weapons test as valid. Tsunade smirked triumphantly, then she settled quickly, asking smugly, is there any other reason Hinata should not be awarded the rank of Jonin? Hesitating slightly, Shizune raised her hand. Once their attention was back on her, the medical expert spoke. While Hinata might have the required skills to be a Jonin, she qualified, I don't believe she is ready mentally. She was obviously struggling for the right words, and the council waited for her to continue. We all have different sides to our personality, Shizune suggested, but Hinata takes it to a dangerous degree. When she is around Naruto, she can be strong, confident, and decisive. But if he's not around, she reverts back to her old self. She is not as timid or uncertain as she once was, but I still worry that she is not ready. Shikaku followed her train of thought, adding, she's got a point. The 2 main responsibilities that separate a real Jonin from a Tokujo are handling A-rank missions solo, and teaching a Genin squad. He pointed at Tsunade, and said, would you be confident giving either of those jobs to Hinata, like she is now? The leader of the Leaf Village considered that, but couldn't answer. Even though you didn't say, no, the fact that you couldn't say, yes, should tell you something, he concluded. It's a hassle, but what can you do? Make her a Tokubutsu Jonin, Kakashi suggested. I expect Hinata will be more than happy with that. Neji, though not entirely pleased with the suggestion, nodded his agreement. Fine, let's put it to a vote, Tsunade insisted again, making it obvious she did not concur. If you think Hinata should be given the rank of Jonin that she deserves, raise your right hand. If you think we should restrict her to Tokujo status, raise your left. And if you think she should stay a Chunin, cover your head with your hands and brace yourself. Not a single Jonin kept both of his or her hands down, and the Hokage carefully counted each vote. And last on the list, Tsunade opened the last folder in the stack, Naruto Uzumaki. Yugao, you were first this time. As per the normal limits of my exam technique, Naruto was able to show 9 styles. Her voice was tainted by her disappointment that Naruto had not found the same workaround Hinata had. He had 4 A rank styles, 3 B rank, and 2 C rank. His best style was the Tiger and Heron, which was arguably S rank, but I decided limit it to A rank, as Naruto admitted his knowledge of the style was incomplete. Very good, Tsunade had stopped asking if the proctors were done, instead moving on automatically when they stopped speaking. Kakashi. Out of the 18 required techniques, Kakashi did not even need to glance over his report on Naruto. Naruto showed 26 techniques. He displayed 5 C rank, 5 B rank, 9 A rank, and 7 S rank ninjutsu arts. I can list his techniques at the request of the council. Naruto also displayed mastery of wind, lightning, and earth chakra. 7 S rank techniques. Name them, the Hokage demanded, but only to preempt the Koharu. Naruto can use the Fuyuten, Rasengan, the Fuyuten, Rasen Shuriken, the Raten, Rasengan, the Odama Raten Rasengan, the 5 points Rasengan, and the Blood Clone Jutsu. At that point Kakashi paused and pointed out, and all of those are unique moves Naruto developed on his own or together with Hinata. His last S-rank move was the Weapon Forge Jutsu. Naruto was able to use the Weapon Forge Jutsu during a test, and still display 25 other techniques. Neji's normal facade was shattered. Yes, Kakashi said, setting Naruto's creation on the table, it took him just under a half hour to make this. I took it to the Emporium for confirmation, and Karen said it is one of the finer weapons she has seen. I would say there are no doubts about Naruto's ninjutsu skill, Tsunade insisted. Temari, how were his weapon skills? Top notch, she shrugged. Even without his S rank in the staff blade, he would have more than passed with his 4A rank and 6B rank weapons. Anko smirked proudly, but Iruka could not, knowing his turn was next. When the Hokage started to speak to him he was already answering. Naruto failed the genjutsu test, he informed the gallery. In fact, he did so spectacularly. He failed to break any genjutsu I used on him, even when the illusion was simple and obvious. And the only technique he was able to show was 1D rank genjutsu. That is unfortunate, Koharu said evenly, her opinion of the teen still divided. I do not believe his failure is Naruto's fault, Neji put forth. I believe his ability to use genjutsu has been compromised by his. The youngest proctor struggled to find a euphemism, so he did not break the law against talking about the Kyuubi in public. He was rescued by the Hokage. For the purposes of this discussion, let's just call the fox demon what it is, she suggested, to make things easier. And because I'm sure no one here is stupid enough to degrade a hero of the village in my presence. Our presence, Iruka, Anko, and Yugao agreed in unison. Kakashi remained silent, but his innocently threatening gaze told where he stood. Very well, Neji nodded. During our mission to the lands of greens and birds, we came under a genjutsu attack. Naruto's own statements during that attack, and my observations of his chakra network lead me to believe the Kyuubi no Kitsune is interfering with Naruto's ability to disrupt or use genjutsu. I cannot tell if the vixen is actively interfering or if this is some sort of side effect. I had the same impression as well, Iruka nodded. He said the demon was telling him genjutsu was pointless when he could do as much or more with ninjutsu. I have read certain accounts that seem to indicate that the Kyuubi is especially susceptible to illusions, Kakashi added, withholding that Madara Uchiha's journals were his source, but that if the person creating the illusion is too weak, the fox can reverse the genjutsu or even make it real. It is possible that Naruto's increased use of the fox's chakra has transferred this vulnerability to him. Regardless, Tsunade sighed, Naruto failed the test, and cannot become a Jonin. Still, Tokubutsu Jonin is definitely on the table. Guy, how did Naruto do on your tests? Naruto, passed. Guy informed them, his demeanor not affected by the weighty conversation. He completed 25 of the test in under 3 hours, and had some fairly creative solutions as well. Also, Naruto was able to finish the computer test. Had he not been knocked out briefly by the poison test, I have no doubt he would have completed at least 2 of the remaining stations. And he didn't break anything. So he failed the poison test. Koharu interjected again, but still decidedly neutral in her tone. No one who attempts the poison test fails, Guy countered. Willingness to risk a major time penalty if you don't know the ingredients is indicative of both luck and courage, 2 things that can be every bit as important as skill. More to the point, Tsunade told the thorn in her side pointedly, this council signed off on Guy's exam. We can't change it now, whatever the reason. Which means Naruto passed 4 of the 5 tests, the Hokage continued, smiling, and 3 of them by a notable measure. That is far more than what is required for Tokujo rank. Is there any objection to granting Naruto Uzumaki the rank of Tokubutsu Jonin? Given her earlier intimidation, and Naruto's performance, not a single member of the Jonin Council was in opposition. Then we are done here, Tsunade told them. I will get all of the paperwork filled out, and we will post the results on Wednesday. Dismissed. Hello, Naruto. Hiyashi Hyuga inclined his head as he opened the door to the estate. Are you and Hinata training today? The clan leader asked suspiciously, noting the younger man's civilian cloths, backpack, and cooler instead of his uniform and equipment. Nah, we're still taking it easy after the trials. Uzumaki shook his head, but we don't want to get too out of practice, so we're not just going to veg out like yesterday. We're going swimming, and then I'm gonna make lunch. And we're gonna play the afternoon by ear. Well, you two did work hard. I suppose 2 days off isn't out of the question, Hiyashi told his daughter's boyfriend, only half joking. Then the elder Hyuga glanced sideways, his face becoming pensive. Is something wrong? The teen asked, craning his head slightly to see what Hiyashi was looking at. But he didn't see anything, and the clan leader quickly composed himself. I just think it would be a bad idea to leave you alone here at this point, he told Naruto carefully. The younger man nodded appreciably. Hanabi still in a bad mood. You could say that, Hiyashi noted with mixed emotions. Naruto, Hinata smiled as she ran up. Like her beloved, she was wearing civilian apparel, and had a backpack designed for recreation rather than combat. Good morning, Hinata, the blonde man embraced her happily, but given the audience, withheld the. Are you ready? Naruto asked, and she nodded joyfully. You two have fun, Hiyashi told them warmly after Hinata stepped outside. Thank you, father, we will, Hinata smiled sincerely at her progenitor. See you later, old man, Uzumaki added affectionately, as the couple started to walk away. Naruto reached out and gently took Hinata's hand in his own. They walked in contented silence, until they reached the outer wall of the Hidden Leaf village. Hey, Naruto suddenly remembered, did you talk to Neji? What did he say? My brother would not tell us about the council's deliberations, Hinata told him, but he did say that the results will be announced on Wednesday. Great, Naruto frowned, now I'll be distracted tomorrow, too. We'll just have to find some way to take your mind off the trials, Hinata suggested. Well, we could go back to working on the Doton, Rasengan, he mused, even if the earth chakra strings are thicker and less flexible, we should be able to find a way to form the sphere. No work talk today, she told him, pouting sternly, we need to relax. I'm always relaxed with you, Hinata, he squeezed her hand, then joked, well maybe not when someone is trying to kill us, but you know, the rest of the time. She moved in closer, letting go of his hand so she could link their arms and lean her head on his shoulder. After almost an hour of tranquil strolling, the forest around the path began to thin, and the roar of the waterfall could be heard. They broke through moments later, stepping onto the sandy beach surrounding the pool at the base of the falls. The morning sun was especially warm for April, and the cool spray from the crashing water was welcome. The couple separated to unpack. Naruto checked that the cooler was sealed tightly, then submerged it in the sand and cool water at the edge of the river, to help keep it chilled. Hinata had already set out her towel by the time he returned, and was in the process of removing her skirt and t-shirt. Naruto's jaw and toe dropped in unison. Contrary to his expectations, Hinata was not wearing the cyan on navy one piece she had worn the last time they had come to the lagoon. Instead, she was clad lavender and gray bikini, composed of a halter top and hipster boy briefs. All things considered, it contained less than a third of the material of Hinata's previous swimsuit, and was the most revealing thing he had ever seen her in. Noticing his rapt gaze, the young woman colored slightly, and asked, "Does it look okay? I let Tenten and Ino pick it out for me." Despite her blush, the young woman posed slightly as she said it. Nearly stumbling over his bag in his haste, Uzumaki crossed the space between them, and swept her into his arms. "Does that mean you like it?" she prompted playfully, when he finally released her. "Hinata, you are beautiful," he said softly, "and if you think you could look bad in anything, I haven't been telling you that enough." She blushed more deeply, but pushed him away, and darted towards the water. "Hurry up and finish unpacking," she chided him sprightly. "Stop," he ordered. She froze, and looked back at him, cutely confused. "You can't go in the water until I put sunblock on you," he scolded her. "Okay," she agreed eagerly. She jogged back up, and spread out on her towel. Naruto quickly set out his own towel and grabbed the plastic bottle from his bag. He kneeled next to Hinata, and rubbed the lotion all over her exposed skin. Though with the time and focus he put into it, it became more like a full-body massage than a practical application. He ran his hands repeatedly and firmly up and down her back and legs. He cupped her face, staring deeply into her eyes as he gently kneaded the sunblock into her cheeks, nose and forehead. "All done," he finally announced, and Hinata let out a disappointed groan. Then she had another thought and stared at him with an expectant expression. "That means it's your turn," she informed him. "Take off your shirt." Naruto compiled, stripping off his t-shirt and laying down. She spread the oil all over his arms, face, and legs. Then she had him sit up, and pressed her bosom deliberately against his back, as she wrapped her arms around his body to apply the sunscreen to his chest. Naruto's cheeks turned red, and he couldn't suppress a lecherous grin. Only once she could no longer keep up the pretense of UV protection did she move to his back, quickly applying the lotion to his shoulder blades and moving down his spine. Having completed coating him in the sunblock, she slid to her feet and ran back towards the water. "Hinata, wait up," he scrambled upwards, but she just laughed. "No, you have to catch me," she giggled, diving forward into the pool. "So that's how you want to play it," he growled in mock anger. "Tag, you're it," he told her, before diving under the water. Her surprised look quickly became one of determination, and she followed him into the lagoon. "I'm so sorry, Lady Hinata," the girl yelled, "we'll leave." "Keiko, wait," Hinata shouted back, beginning to swim to shore at full speed. The two newcomers fidgeted on the sand, unsure what to do. After a moment of confusion, Naruto followed, using his chakra again to catch up to her. "You know them?" he asked as they approached the beach. "Yes," she confirmed, "they are my sister's teammates." Naruto studied them more carefully as he and Hinata drew closer. Except for the gender differences revealed by their swimsuits, the younger pair looked identical. Their faces sported the same stub nose, high cheekbones, and gentle green eyes. Keiko and Kei shared the same deep gray hair, which hung to the middle of their respective shoulder blades in a ponytail. Even from the neck down, their builds were remarkably similar, differing only in the slight swell under Keiko's bandeau bikini top, her moderately narrower waist, and the faint hint of a bulge under Kei's trunks. "Are they twins?" Naruto asked as he and Hinata walked out of the water to meet the genin. Kei smiled slightly, and Keiko bowed in Grodd. "Thank you," the 13-year-old girl said happily. "They are cousins, but they look so close that they use the resemblance to their advantage," Hinata informed him. "You should see us in uniform." Kei's voice was a bit deeper, but he spoke more softly. "The swimsuits are a dead giveaway." "What do you mean, they look close?" Naruto goggled, glancing back and forth between the younger ninjas. "They are the same." "No, Kei's nose and chin are a little wider." Hinata shook her head as she explained, "and Keiko's eyes are a little darker in color." "How much wider?" Naruto asked suspiciously. "Less than a 1/16 of an inch," the other chunin admitted. "So something you'd need a Kekkei Genkai or Genjutsu to notice," Naruto groused. "Excuse my impertinence, Lady Hinata," Keiko interrupted, "but why did you want us to wait? Is there something we can do for you?" Hinata frowned slightly. "I've asked you not to call me that, Keiko. And I wanted to know why you were here." Kei was just given a clean bill of health, the younger woman said hesitantly, but Choza-sensei gave us the morning off. So we thought that swimming would be a good, low-impact way to get some exercise. Then why were you going to leave? Naruto asked, confused. You two were here first, and we did not want to interfere in Hinata's fun. Keiko's voice faltered, unable to find a good way to describe what they had caught Naruto and Hinata doing. Please, don't leave on our account, Hinata requested. Yeah, the more the merrier, Naruto agreed. Hinata turned bright red, as did Keiko, and Kei looked away. Realize what he had inadvertently suggested, Naruto rubbed the back of his head, and redirected his accidental innuendo by adding, now we have enough people to play some volleyball. I'm Naruto, by the way, he announced suddenly, realizing he hadn't officially introduced himself, Naruto Uzumaki. He extended his right hand, and they shook it in turn. I am Keiko Takamaki, the girl bowed slightly after releasing his grip, and this is my partner Kei Takamaki. Nice to meet you, Kei said with a nod, then added sourly, we have heard a great deal about you. I'm sure, Naruto said in a similar tone. The near twins grinned nervously, but Naruto laughed it off. We take what Hanabi says with a grain of salt, Keiko reassured him, particularly after she changed her tune so quickly last September. Then why don't you stay for a while, and decide for yourselves, Hinata suggested. The genin pair gazed at one another, almost as if discussing the offer telepathically. Eventually they both looked back at the couple and nodded. Naruto grinned, and started digging in his bag for the poles and net. They played a few games of volleyball, first boys against girls, then Naruto and Keiko versus Hinata and Kei. After that they went back into the water, having a splash fight. It was then that Naruto recognized that he was at a disadvantage. Both in spiking the volleyball and throwing the water, the two younger teens were avoiding Hinata as much as possible. So what's up with you two and Hinata? Naruto asked them when the battle finally wore down. Both of the genin looked at him with a mixture of surprise and worry. What do you mean? Keiko asked evasively. I mean you tiptoe around her like you're afraid of her, he countered, and you have to struggle not to tack, lady, onto her name. You don't seem to think the same way about Hanabi, and she's the one who's all touchy and imperial. We used to, Kei admitted. But Choza-sensei made us stop, Keiko added, and Hanabi agreed. In time we became accustomed to acting normally towards her. That doesn't explain why, he insisted. Naruto, don't, Hinata said gently. No, it is okay, Keiko said, it isn't something we find shameful. She sat down, her feet trailing in the water, and Kei sat next to her. Naruto took a place across from her, and Hinata hesitated before kneeling very close to Naruto. You see, before the founding of the Hidden Leaf Village, almost since the beginning of the modern ninja age, the Takamaki clan served the Hyuga clan, Keiko explained, we were their servants and bodyguards. In addition we would take in most of those born into the Hyuga clan but without the Byakugan, and in turn those few of us born with the white eyes were adopted by the Hyugas. Quote. An arrangement some refused to forget, Hinata whispered. Not just in your family, Keiko managed to agree with Hinata's statement while disagreeing with her tone, our fathers both taught us to respect the Hyuga clan. So were the Takamikis branded with the caged bird seal? Naruto asked angrily. No, it was our honor to serve, Kei was upset by the mention of the mark, but seemingly not by the suggestion it had been used on his forebearers. Then what changed? The blonde man queried. Hoshi Hyuga, Keiko said evenly, she disapproved of our clan's relationship, just as you do. During the founding of the Konohagakure, she freed our clan, and asked us to join the village as equals. Some members of our clan were pleased, and the rest went along so they could stay close to the Hyugas. Over the last few generations, most members of the Takamaki clan have taken the separation to heart, Hinata added, but there are those who still display uncommon loyalty to my family. And there are a few in my family who are willing to exploit them. Which is why we are more comfortable around Hanabi, Kei spoke up darkly, her obvious intent to take advantage of us makes it easier to dismiss her as unworthy. Ha! Naruto grunted in confusion, what does that mean? The Hyuga clan was once a noble institution, Keiko said uncomfortably, though they would not allow children without the Byakugan into the clan, they helped our clan make sure they were cared for and protected. With a few, notable, exceptions. They were proud, but not so arrogant as they have become. And they did not use that repugnant seal you mentioned earlier. That is who our family served with pride, those like Hinata and her great-grandmother Hoshi before her. I'm afraid that they have a somewhat idealized view of my ancestors, Hinata chided them. Keiko glared at her, before realizing what she was doing and looking down in chagrin. But Kei considered the suggestion thoughtfully. Well, we're all here to have some fun, Naruto said quickly, mildly regretting starting the conversation despite the interesting tidbits about Hinata and her family, so I'm going back in the water. After a more traditional game of swimming tag and a few races across the pond, the sun had reached its zenith, and Naruto announced it was time for lunch. Hinata asked the younger teens to join them, but Keiko begged off, stating that they needed to get ready for their afternoon training. After saying goodbye, Naruto began to gather firewood while Hinata set up a ring of stones for the fire pit. When the temporary grill was ready, Hinata started the blaze with part of the first load of wood, while Naruto retrieved the cooler. He set up the cooking grid and grinned happily as he threw down the ribs and ears of corn. Hinata sat back to watch him, clearly amused. Naruto poked at the meat, smiling more as he observed the progress of the flame. I thought you didn't like cooking, Hinata asked, with just a hint of affectionate mocking. This isn't cooking, Hinata, he told her, this is grilling. Just a man and the flames, with almost none of the prep time and cleanup. If other kinds of cooking were like this, I'd probably eat less ramen. Well, maybe not. She beamed back at him, sliding closer. But as she reached out to touch him, her expression suddenly changed. With a look of alarm she turned away from him, sliding to her feet. Once she was upright, she continued her rotation. 8 trigrams palms in folding dome, she exclaimed, knocking away the bird that was diving towards them. Ginmaki, she summoned her coat with a single word, as soon as her jutsu had ended. Hinata, why did you? Naruto rose in amazement, but his question was cut off when the hawk exploded just before it hit the water. Then he looked skyward, following her attention. Dozens of the false avians were circling him, and the first wave had already started to dive. Without a word, Hinata activated her Byakugan and shared it with her boyfriend. Naruto placed his back to hers, sharing his vast chakra reserve with her. Double vision, the couple announced in unison, protection of the 8 trigrams, 192 palms. Streams of sharpened energy shot out from their palms, destroying the missiles before the birds came close enough for the explosions to hurt the young adults. As the remains littered the ground around them, Naruto could now tell that the raptors were clay, not flesh. A second attack approached them, vines sprouting from the ground, trying to ensnare and crush the leaf shinobi. But they sliced the plants apart, without impacting the deflection of the avian attacks. After the last of the flying bombs was destroyed, the vines began to pull back. Hinata and Naruto ceased their jutsu, but even as they did, Naruto sensed the next attack. He too summoned his weapon, and swept Hinata behind him. He formed the wind chakra blade even as he drew Kitsune, making the projection as wide as possible before interposing the staff blade between himself and the column of black energy rushing towards them. The negative chakra jutsu was stronger than the last time, but Kitsune was still able to resist and block the attack. Following just behind the inverted energy beam came the Reaper herself, stabbing out with a trident. Except, instead of tines or spearheads, the head of the trident consisted of 3 short sword blades. Naruto dismissed the wind chakra blade so he fit the pole of the staff blade between 2 of the extensions. He tried to twist the trident out of the Reaper's hands, but she resisted, growling at him from under her armor of ninja headbands. Out of my way, Jinchuriki, the Reaper demanded, trying to sweep Naruto to the side, you are not my prey this day. She stepped around Naruto, stabbing towards Hinata, who was using Ginmaki's lightning blades to slice apart the ivy that was again trying to trap them. But Uzumaki was able to block the trident again, forcing the off-balance Reaper back. Why do you want Hinata? Naruto slashed at her neck, and the Reaper blocked with the back end of her weapon. I have been ordered not to kill you this day, the assassin hissed, slashing at his legs, and I owe her. She stopped me from killing you in both of our previous encounters, and she killed the majority of my former troops. So today, she is mine. So you are working with the Akatsuki now? Hinata asked bluntly, slicing through one of the grasping stalks. The Akatsuki. Naruto blinked in surprise as he tried for a second time to disarm the Reaper. She held fast to her new weapon, and nearly stabbed his leg. The exploding clay pigeons appear to be the work Deodara, Hinata explained, destroying another stem that shot towards her leg, and I think, based on his plant-like appearance, these vines are probably the work of the one called Zetsu. Pigeons. Deodara shouted mockingly, landing in the middle of the pool, you have no style. Each one of those explosives was a hawk or falcon, custom made to have a distinct appearance and blast profile. Why are you with the Akatsuki? Naruto demanded, noticing the ring on his opponent's left pinky finger. A group of evil, demon-collecting ninjas should be everything you claim to hate. True, she answered simply, but if their mission succeeds, they will kill 97% of the shinobi in this world, more than I ever could alone. Then I will just need to finish off the Akatsuki themselves. Besides, they have offered me training, as well as this griffin's claw to replace the Arc Moon Blue you destroyed. The blonde rogue slung forward his left arm, releasing 3 earthen shurikens towards Hinata. The leaf kunoiki signed in response, while still slicing at Zetsu's tendrils, exclaiming, Raiten, spark darts. 5 barbs of lighting shot from her right hand, 3 intercepted Deodara's weapons, detonating them, while the remaining 2 raced towards the villain. But the ring bearer dropped an unformed lump of clay into the water, and the large wave created by the explosion engulfed Hinata's jutsu, channeling its energy away. Naruto was annoyed to find that, despite his previous win and subsequent training, the Reaper was matching him. Her skills were sharper, and she was stronger and faster as well. She tripped him with the reverse end of her poleum, and before running through a set of hand signs and stating, Dotten, Maya. The ground became soft under Naruto as he expected, but this time the mud covered a larger area and seemed to be actively pulling him in. Both of the teen Chunin escaped the snare, and in the air Naruto sliced his left palm with the fox teeth on Kitsune's pommel. He continued to let the minor wound bleed as he landed. Blood clone jutsu. Uzumaki created 3 clones. The first intercepted the Reaper, the second took up Hinata's gardening, and the third charged towards Deodara. We're losing, Naruto whispered. We've been fine so far, she countered, worried by his pessimism. No, they're toying with us. You've seen Gaara's reports, he explained, about what Didi over there can do. And the Reaper is stronger now, too. She was matching me move for move, and I get the impression she isn't wasting chakra like she was last time. And Zetsu hasn't even shown himself yet. What do we do then? She asked. I was hoping you had a better idea, he whispered, but I was thinking we should have my clones distract the other 2, and then you and I double team the Reaper. Once she's out of the way, we can probably handle Aloe Vera and Bomb Boy one-on-one. It's a workable plan, White Zetsu agreed dubiously, as the plant man sprouted in between the couple. Naruto glanced back, and noticed the plants had wrapped up the blood clone fighting them, while the other 2 facsimiles were still managing to hold off Deodara and the Reaper. Both teens tried to jump away, but Zetsu followed after Naruto, while more vines erupted in front of Hinata. The dichotomous renegade stabbed out with his right hand, his fingers lengthening into thorns aimed for Naruto's exposed left bicep. The leaf ninja tried to knock them aside with Kitsune, but the altered phalanges wrapped around the staff blade, holding it in place. Naruto started to create the wind blade, but before he could, Zetsu's left fingers stabbed lightly into his gullet. The Akatsuki scout shoved Naruto away just before they reached the ground. As Uzumaki tried to land, he stumbled, suddenly weakened off balance. Naruto, what did you do to me? The young man mumbled, trying to stay upright. I poisoned you with the neurotoxin of a particularly rare breed of azalea, Black Zetsu said, though it may kill the young, elderly, or infirm, most just end up in a coma for 10 days or so. But with you, we'll be lucky to get 2 days out of it, White Zetsu conceded. It will still be enough, Black Zetsu made their body shrug. The Kyuubi's host fell to his knees, still trying to keep Kitsune up. Naruto, Hinata shouted again, diving forward, blades first. She managed to cut through the stalks and stems blocking her, but the opening was too small, and the edges of the cut plants tore at her skin and bikini, leaving her scraped up and close to losing her already minimal clothing. This also slowed her enough for Zetsu to kick her away, back into the next layer of vines. The roots wrapped her limbs, even as Naruto fell, the weapon slipping from his grip. Hinata started sent out small gentle fist chakra spikes from chakra points all over her body. However, the tiny cuts were not enough to set her free and the greenery grew back as fast as she could damage it. She rotated her wrist and elbow, managing to slice away the stalks holding his right arm with ginmaki. Good. Zetsu walked over to Naruto, as the tendrils lifted him, and began to cocoon him. Hinata cut her other arm free, and tried to surge forward. But her legs remained locked and she nearly fell. I should bring that, too. The flytrap rogue's extension swept up Kitsune, sliding it into its scabbard as the vines pinned Naruto's limp arms to his sides. I'll be taking him now, Zetsu informed his teammates. Follow when you are done here. Mayfly Jutsu. Zetsu and Naruto vanished into the ground. Deidara nodded, launching another clay kunai at the clone fighting him. No, Naruto. Hinata's silver eyes darted over the ground instinctively, trying to track them. The plants holding Hinata and the blood clone began to wither and collapse without Zetsu's chakra. The other two blood clones looked to their freed brother, who nodded. He used the body flicker to appear next to Hinata, and then began to teleport them both away. What are you doing? Hinata demanded of the duplicate once he stopped using the shunshin. After almost 60 jumps, they were more than a mile into the woods, closer to the Konohagakure. The double looked at her sadly. There is nothing more you can do back there, he told her. They have the real Naruto. That plant guy's technique is too fast for you to follow, even if you could potentially track him with your Byakugan. Besides, with Naruto gone, those two could use attacks that might have been too powerful and killed him too. Hinata nodded in spite of herself, trying not to tear up. Now what? She asked weakly. We'll hold them off for as long as we can. But I don't know how long we'll last with our real body unconscious and getting further away, he told her. You have to get back to the village. You have to get reinforcement. Crap, I used up too much chakra. The clone ceased to be, and Naruto's blood fell to the ground. Hinata wanted to cry, but she forced herself up. They'll be coming soon. Hinata knew that the Reaper would not want to let her escape. She activated the hand seals, and two shadow clones split off, leaving trails into the forest. Then she bit her finger, and spread out her blood across her digits. Summoning jutsu, she announced, slamming her palm into the earth. In matched billows of smoke, Sol and Lune appeared. Mistress Hinata, what? Sol started to ask, noticing Hinata's attire and condition. But the human shinobi cut off the squirrel. The Akatsuki have captured Naruto, the young woman explained quickly, and they will be chasing me shortly. This information has to get back to the village, no matter what. You two split up. Take different routes and go to the village as fast as you can. Yes, ma'am, Lune acknowledged, and rodents scampered off in different directions. With no more ideas, Hinata charged straight towards the village. The last blood clone looked down sluggishly at the charred remains of his left leg, even as the Reaper rammed her trident into his chest. The copy disintegrated into Naruto's life essence, and the ninja hunter turned towards the Hidden Leaf village. She took a step forward, but before she could leave, Deidara stopped her. Don't bother, he told his junior comrade. She may only have a 6-minute head start, but this is her home turf. Besides, we already did our job. So if you don't want to be fighting the entire Hidden Leaf village, we need to get moving. The Reaper nodded stiffly, obviously unhappy, but followed him anyway. Was that? Rock Lee was roused from the monotony of guard duty as a familiar blur ran past him without pause. Tenten nodded, recognizing the purple and gray parts of the blur. Hinata continued at full speed straight towards headquarters. She was pouring chakra into her legs, and every few dozen steps she used the body flicker to cover an extra 100 feet instantly. Her lower limbs were sore, her bare feet bloody, and she was running out of chakra, but she didn't care. Especially now that her target was visible. Hinata. Sakura noticed her teammate racing up the stairs outside Ninja Ops, and surreptitiously followed. Hinata charged past Shizune, practically blowing the Hokage's office door off its hinges. Hinata, what is the meaning of, Tsunade roared, jumping to her feet. Shizune cringed as she stepped into the room after the other kunoiki. The Akatsuki have Naruto, the younger woman cut her off fiercely. Naruto, Sakura whispered, standing outside the door. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.